I'd be delighted if you give Philip Hammond, the Foreign Secretary, a warm welcome.
Well, thank you, James, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity to be here this evening and to say a few words to you. And I'm sorry that Jeffrey Clifton-Brown couldn't be with us, but thank you very much for standing in for him, James, and I'm sure we all wish Jeffrey a very speedy recovery from whatever's laid him low tonight. I'm hot foot from the airport, just back from Rome today, where I've been talking to my Italian counterparts about Britain's plans for reform of the European Union and about our thinking about our future relationship with the European Union. A lot of that discussion has been about how we can make the European Union more competitive so that it can stand its ground in what is becoming an ever more competitive global environment. Something tells me that I might have to work a bit less hard to get across the importance of economic competitiveness to my audience here this evening than perhaps I did to some on the continent. But it's really great to see so many people here this evening and such a wide representation from the British Chinese community, whether that's business people, professional people, students, or just people who are supporters of the Conservative Party among the British Chinese community. It is a source of pride to us that we have in this country such a diverse Chinese population. Not just more recent arrivals from China itself, but a huge population from the Chinese diaspora around the world, including large numbers from Hong Kong, Malaysia and Singapore. And I want to thank you for the contribution that the Chinese community in this country makes, not just to our national life, but to the all-important relationship between the UK and China. We know that nothing acts as a bridge between the UK and other nations around the world as much or as well as the UK diaspora community helping to forge that bridge, whether it's attracting inward investment or promoting outward business links back to the home country. It hugely helps to strengthen and deepen those relationships and those ties. And of course, as Foreign Secretary, the relationship that this country has with China is of huge importance to us, not just to me, but to the Prime Minister and to the Chancellor of the Exchequer, who has made building our economic relationship with China something of a personal crusade, and I'm sure you've heard from him about that in the past. Of course, we have a historic, long-established trading relationship between our two countries, and trade and investment is now at the heart of that relationship going forward. I'm delighted to tell you that that relationship is in good shape. Over the course of this Parliament so far, Britain's goods exports to China have more than doubled. As Premier Li Keqiang has noted, as China's growth has slowed, and we've seen the growth of most Western countries' exports to China slowing with it, Britain has bucked the trend. The UK's exports to China have grown against that trend, and many of you in this room will have been personally responsible for helping to establish and maintain that trend, so thank you for that. And if the story of British goods exports to China has been a good news story, the story of Chinese investment into the UK has been an even more dramatic good news story. Over the last couple of years, we've seen more Chinese inward investment into the UK than in the previous 30 years, from sovereign wealth funds, from state-owned enterprises, and increasingly from China's ever more dynamic private sector. I was in Vienna on Monday at the E5+1 talks with Iran, and I took the opportunity to have a short private meeting with Foreign Minister Wang Yi, and he told me that China greatly appreciates and very much has noticed that Britain is by some considerable margin the most open country in the world to Chinese investment. That's not an accident, that's a deliberate decision that we have taken, and we want to make sure that Britain remains the most attractive destination for Chinese investment in the world. And alongside that dramatic increase in investment, that persistent increase in exports, of course we've seen importantly deepening ties in financial markets. We're proud of the fact that Britain is the first Western country to issue an RMB denominated sovereign bond. We're proud of the way London is building its credentials to be the most important market for RMB denominated instruments outside China. But it isn't just about economics, this relationship. We're also proud of the shared values, the values that James spoke about. We appreciate that the deep personal links that many people who go from Britain to China, or people who come from China to Britain forge, is based on a shared belief in hard work, self-reliance, enterprise, the family. Those values resonate with us and underlie the cultural ties that we are building between our two nations. We should also reflect on the vibrant contribution that students make to this relationship. We've a good record of British students studying in China, and equally we welcome Chinese students to study here in the UK. In 2012-13 there were nearly 84,000 students in higher education in the UK, and that's an increase of 6% on the previous year. So we're definitely heading in the right direction, but we have lots of room in our universities. We have no limits whatsoever on the number of Chinese students that are welcome to come here and study. And we know from the relationships that we have around the world with countries where the opinion formers and decision makers are generations of previous students at UK universities, that there is no better way of building strong relationships than to study in each other's countries. That generation of students that are here now or have been here over the last few years, in 20, 30 years' time, will be the key decision makers back in their home countries, whether that's China or other countries with Chinese populations, and they will ensure that those relationships endure and that we build upon them in the future. Here in the UK, as you know, we are still recovering from the Great Recession of the 2008-2010 period and getting our public finances back in order. We are growing again. Actually, we're growing at the fastest rate of any G7 country, but the job is not done. We still have a lot of tough choices to take, and we still have a lot of hard miles to go. Because the financial markets are confident in our long-term economic plan and trust us to deliver it, it's sometimes easy to forget that we're still running one of the largest deficits in the European Union. But we are on track, we're delivering that long-term economic plan, and we are securing the recovery. If I may, I want to finish just by saying a couple of things that are slightly more political. In just over, well, I'm a politician after all, just over 5 months' time, we will be facing one of the most important general elections in Britain's modern history. At the heart of the choice that faces the electorate on May the 7th next year will be this question: do we continue along the tough but successful path that we have set out of economic reform and fiscal consolidation to get Britain back on track for the future, to be able to maintain its course as one of the world's successful economies? Or do we give it all up and take the easy, tempting route that some other politicians and political parties are offering? Either to start easing up before the job is done, if you listen to the Labour Party, or to turn our back on the world and to become Little England again, if you listen to our friends in UKIP. As the front cover of Private Eye, I thought rather poignantly suggested this week, with a slogan that could well be "Back to 1957, please, quick as you can." That's not where we're going in the Conservative Party. What we want to see is a Britain which is confident of its place and its role in the world, confident of its ability to deliver prosperity for its people in the future, confident of the innovative capability of its businesses to keep ahead of the curve and to maintain that prosperity in an ever more competitive global economy, confident to go out and do business with countries tens of times bigger than ours, in the knowledge that we have something to deliver and something to trade in the great bazaar that is our global economy. A country that knows that over the last 4 years it's created 2 million new jobs when many were predicting that we would lose jobs as we carried out our fiscal consolidation. A country that's seen 400,000 new businesses created over that period of 4 years. And a country, as I've already said, that enjoys the fastest rate of growth in the G7. And the question for our electorate will be whether we should really put all this at risk by handing the keys to number 10 Downing Street back to the party that brought us that recession in 2008-9. The outcome of that general election next year will have significant consequences for the health of the British economy, for jobs, for investment, and for living standards in this country. And that election, of course, because of the way our system works, will be determined primarily in the key marginal seats, the 80 or so seats that we call our 40-40 seats. The 40 most critical seats that we currently hold, that we have to hold on to, and the 40 most critical seats that are currently held by another party that we have to gain to ensure that we have a majority Conservative government after the next election. And as James has already said, Hendon and Hampstead and Kilburn are two of those key 40-40 seats, and I'm delighted that Matthew's here with us tonight. So my parting message is this. This election will be too important for people to sit it out, to leave it to someone else, to hope that somehow someone else will take care of ensuring the outcome. We need everyone who believes in what we are doing, who believes in a strong economy based on a fair system that rewards hard work and good behaviour. People who believe in a fair welfare system that protects those who really need help, but doesn't allow anyone a lifestyle choice of living on benefits. In rewarding hard work, supporting enterprise, everyone who believes in these values needs to register as a voter if they haven't already done so, and to vote for the Conservative Party on May the 7th next year, so that when we wake up on May the 8th, we find that David Cameron is standing on the doorstep of number 10 Downing Street, this time without his little friend next to him. So that we can have a proper Conservative government led by a Conservative Prime Minister, ready to finish the job of clearing up Labour's mess, finish the job of getting this country back on track to deliver a bright and prosperous future for all its people. Thank you.